Thank you, Jane. I would like to start by acknowledging I'm the General Federation of Women's Club Macomb president, and we also have in our presence Teresa Sanford Shiplett, who is our state president, and she is here in the hat. Can you wave? So we're honored to have our Illinois state president here. And I'd also like to note that parts of my speech come from the late Jackie Pierce, who was a GFWC International President 2006-2008. So I wanted to acknowledge Jackie and all the history that she put together. It's the year 1913, a critical moment for the women's suffrage movement. After more than a decade of efforts to secure a federal amendment, a massive women's suffrage parade brought 10,000 women to Washington to march down Pennsylvania Avenue to demand the vote. But the attention of the suffrage parade would be of little value if we couldn't turn it into widespread support. Advocates of suffrage had long counted the millions of women active in the women's club movement as key to their effort. When Carrie Chapman Catt succeeded Susan B. Anthony as president of the National American Women's Suffrage Association, one of the first things she did was start a society plan to recruit leaders of women's clubs to the suffrage cause because she knew they were an important link in their communities. But votes for women remained controversial. It wasn't until a number of Western states granted suffrage that a suffrage parade got national attention. When influential socialites put their weight and money behind the cause, the federal amendment for women's suffrage gained real momentum. Official support of the suffrage by the General Federation of Women's Clubs, which we call GFWC, which was by far the largest and most vital women's organization in the country, representing over 1 million women, signaled that the suffrage movement had graduated from a one radical dream to a mainstream cause. Many important women have been associated with GFWC and had been long leaders in the suffrage movement. Frances Willard, head of the Women's Temperance Union, and Julia Ward Howe, the famous author of the Battle Hymn of Republic. But only a majority vote of the representative delegates at the Chicago 1914 GFWC convention would gain the movement the credibility it desperately needed. Pro-suffrage resolutions had been blocked from coming to the floor for the past two conferences, so the outcome was uncertain as the delegates headed to Chicago. Pro-suffrage, anti-suffrage, they were presented and the debate was heated. GFWC President Annie Pennybacher was personally in favor of suffrage, and I quote what President Pennybacher said, "The highest type of women must be interested in politics and all the vital questions of the day in order to fulfill her mission as wife and mother." In Chicago, delegates heard about the world progress of women, but it was still uncertain if a resolution in favor of suffrage would be brought to vote on the floor. Then the Illinois delegation took matters in its own hand and passed a resolution in favor of political equality for men and women. Pennsylvania, Indiana, New York, and other states quickly followed. President Pennybacher said that there will be a suffrage resolution presented tomorrow at our convention. On June 14, 1914, the GFWC approved a resolution stating, "The General Federation of Women's Clubs give the cause of political equality for men and women its moral support by recording its earnest belief in the principle of political equality regardless of sex." The GFWC's endorsement for suffrage for women was major news. It affirmed that suffrage had become a mainstream cause for middle-class women from every part of the country. But by 1917, scores of suffragists, including Alice Paul, were imprisoned at the Occoquan Workhouse in Virginia for picketing the White House to demand the right to vote. When the iron-jawed angels, as they were called, were released from the workhouse after enduring months of disgusting conditions, the public outcry about their treatment made the possibility of a federal suffrage movement amendment a reality. The turning point to women's rights culminated in the ratification of the 19th Amendment on August 18, 1920, and certified August 26, 1920, 100 years ago today. Women's suffrage may not have become a reality without the historic support of the General Federation of Women's Club. And we are still here today. We are in your communities. The Macomb Club has over 100 members. I'd also like to invite you to join in our parade after our speakers speak, and we will parade to the GFWC Macomb Women's Club statue facing the storm and patio that honors women that make a difference in other people's lives. Thank you.